thank you so much for sharing that. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so we're going to continue down this road then. You talked about responsibility as a leader. And then this is not a political show, but I want to use a word called political capital. So some people may remember back in the day when President Obama was the president. He very early on took responsibility for a lot of things that happened. And some people felt like, oh, that's not your job to take responsibility. It's the other person's job or whatever. So as a leader, when is it appropriate to take responsibility? And when is it not appropriate to take responsibility for someone else's actions?
If the person is reporting to you, it's never appropriate to not take responsibility. Um, there's I recently watched a video by Simon Sinek. Um, and like most people my generation, we struggle with people who are younger, particularly millennials, because we don't get them. And, if I say I'm old school, you know what that means. It means that I grew up being really independent, responsible. I took nothing for granted. I knew that I had to work twice as hard, yada, yada, yada. That's old school. Um, well, when I was growing up, only one person got a trophy. Millennials grew up, everybody got a participation trophy. The sense of self-worth that's associated with success and what are the metrics, what's the feedback we get from society is completely different. So I can't get frustrated with a millennial for being a millennial, for being what they were raised to be, because they're not old school like me, and be dismissive.
Yeah.
I have to take responsibility for understanding how to connect. So if the person under me doesn't do what needs to be done, I can't just say it's their fault they didn't get it. It's my fault that I didn't get them to understand it.
I hear you. I hear you. And I'm with you. I think a lot of people find it maybe difficult to do that because they feel like if they take responsibility for someone else's quote unquote failure, let's call it that right now, um, that they will look bad, that people will see them as a failure. And it's not my failure, it's the other person's failure. Like, what would you say to someone who's worried about if they take responsibility for someone else's stuff, that they will be seen as a failure themselves?
Um, I have a lot of thoughts about um, you stepped into a relatively complex issue
Mm-hmm.
because the first thing is, why are you concerned about failure? You're worried about failure because you think the failure might define you. Okay. So the way I look at failure and the way I encourage people that I'm trying to motivate to look at failure is um, give yourself a sense that you're worthy. Worthy of what? Worthy of whatever success you might experience. And I'm going to take you back to when you were first learning how to ride a bicycle. When your parent or whoever was teaching you how to ride the bicycle first let go, the first thing was, can I really do this? Can I keep doing this, or am I going to fail? And basically you're saying, am I skilled enough? Am I talented enough? Am I prepared enough? Do I deserve to stay on this bicycle?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when you doubt that, you wibble wobble and you fall off. So when you define that you're worthy, it gives you that underlying confidence to stay with whatever success you're experiencing and not be intimidated by it. That's incredibly important. Being afraid to be ahead of what you think you've earned is one of the most intimidating things a human being can experience, because you start thinking, wow, do I really belong here? Is someone going to discover that I'm a fraud? I'm not really talented enough to be in this seat?
Yeah.
Very intimidating place to be. Accept that you are worthy for all good things to come. The flip side that you gain from that sense of worthiness is your failures don't define you. You're worthy. And if you really look at it, even someone who's had a lot of difficulties, there's more things on the positive side of their ledger than on the negative side. Let that define you. Let your sense of possibility define you. Let your commitment to your integrity define you. Let your authenticity define you. A failure is not disruptive.
Hello, everyone. This is Alex Tremble from GPS Leadership Solutions. And if you found this last interview to be awesome, spectacular, and actually you benefited from it, let me tell you, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Visit the alextrembleshow.com, information below in the description, and that's where you'll find the full uninterrupted interview. And I'm telling you, there's so much great content you'll hear from this past leader, as well as all the other leaders we've already interviewed. So remember, don't just look back, reach back. If there's someone who you think will benefit from this interview or any of the other interviews, make sure you share it with them. Click the like, click the subscribe, and as I always like to end all my sessions, stay strong, stay positive, and definitely stay moving. Thank you.